we formally founded the company. We applied for our 501c3 nonprofit status. We did all of these, dry, boring things that we have to do in order to establish. And in some ways, it was a unique opportunity to focus on that and get all the ducks in a row for what we at that time were planning a much larger show before we pivoted to a different project given the circumstances. But that being said, I'm so excited that we ended up with this project for the last 5 years for this year.
Yeah, can you tell me how you guys decided to do the last 5 years?
Sure.
You go ahead.
Yeah. So as Alan said, we had a much bigger show planned, which is still in the works. It's coming.
Fingers crossed, 2022.
Okay. But one of the things that we did while we were all on our break was we did this Thursday night group chat movie watch just to interact with other humans about the same thing. And one of the things we watched was the film version of The Last 5 Years. And we were chatting during the movie, and by the end of it, we all went, oh, wait a minute. This is what we should do.
We were basically pre-producing the whole time we watched the movie. I had it cast by the end of the movie. I had the orchestra already, I knew who I was going to hire for the orchestra. And basically by the end of the movie, we were like, yeah.
And Jill, you hadn't seen the show before, right?
No, I hadn't. It wasn't really on my radar because it fell in some weird little crack in my brain of Jason Robert Brown. And now that crack has become a crevasse.
Jim, have you done the show before? I can't remember.
I subbed as a stage manager on a production a few years ago. I came in for like 2 or 3 performances, but that's it. I've never, and like with my voice teacher, I worked on some stuff, but I've never done the show. And I will say, being in the producer's chair on this one is a little strange because I'm not actively involved in it, which is interesting and fun. So new experiences for everybody.
Yeah. Well, because originally when the show we were originally intending to do this year, you were going to act in it, and that was our flip.
Yes.
Was I was directing and you were acting.
Ooh.
But
so stay tuned for that, everybody.
Right.
Can't wait.
We can't talk about that yet. We don't have the rights cleared. But we got to dot the I's, cross the T's, and finish the hats. I've assistant designed Last 5 Years once. I keep thinking I've worked on it twice, but I think only once. And I know I've seen like 3 or 4 productions. But again, yeah, it's Myra. It's like you said. This is an actor's musical. This is, people call it a song cycle and sort of equate it to like Songs for a New World, which is another Jason Robert Brown show. And it is, but it isn't, because it's exactly like you said. There's these meaty monologues that just happen to be set to music, except one, which is always interesting, which is just a monologue, which is always like people who know the soundtrack but not the show, that they get to in the show and then they go, huh?
The plot and the structure of the show is sort of unconventional and really, really cool. Jim, do you want to talk about how it's written?
Sure. So The Last 5 Years is a 2-person musical. It's about the relationship between Jamie and Kathy from their first date to the end of the relationship. But what's really interesting about it is that at the top of the show, we meet Kathy at the end of the relationship, and then the next number is Jamie at the first date. And so his plot line goes forward in time while her narrative goes backwards in time, and they meet up at one beautiful point and then diverge again. So in a way, that's one of the reasons that we chose the show, because it is only 2 people who very rarely interact. But also from an artistic standpoint, it's a fun challenge to figure out how you do something that's not linear storytelling.
Jason Robert Brown is known for having really complex but extremely catchy music. Do you want to expand a little bit on the style of the music of the show?
For the last 5 years, it's got a lot of fun styles in it. You've got your straight ahead, music theater ballads, but you've also got this like great Yiddish kind of a song. And the audition song is just so funny. And it's like every audition for every ingenue's inside of her head you've ever had. And there's really great styles of music, but they're always contemporary feeling. And they've always got really wonderful harmonies running this kind of subterrane for the character. Like you can tell what this character's blood pressure and pulse is by the basic groove that Jason's putting underneath them. I think that's part of his genius with these songs and there's no script, so this is all we get. He's very much a part of these characters because they don't hardly have dialogue.
Alan, do you want to talk about the challenges as a director to bring such a complicated story to life?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting challenge because the show is based around a relationship, and those two people literally occupy the same sort of point on the space-time continuum, like for about a minute and a half in the total show, but at the same time, as Jim sort of talked about, given the challenges of trying to stage something with a sense of physical distancing and just the priority of safety, working in that convention actually helps us more than it hurts us, or more than it challenges us, in my opinion. I think it's an interesting show to tackle as well after a year where we've had a lot of time to sit and reflect. I'm sure a lot of relationships have had stress, have had working through sort of personal backstory and underlying tensions. And it's also interesting because it's in particular a story about a relationship between two artists. And right now, when we have entire industries on hold, but in particular, performers and other artists, I think it's interesting to look at not only Jamie and Kathy as the story of a relationship, but in particular, two artists struggling to find their way through their life and sort of what coming together helps them with and what coming together creates friction.
I think one of the major stressors in their relationship is that his career takes off right away and hers struggles. She's kind of in the same spot with the summer in Ohio that she was when they first met.
Yeah, it's hard. As an artist dating an artist, there are points where one of us is really killing it and the other one isn't, and it switches at all times. And I personally feel like I always have, there's always something in this show, in this music that hits me at different points in my career that I connect to. So The Last 5 Years is one of my all-time favorite musicals. I always feel like it's an actor's musical because it just feels like it's just so well written. It feels like a monologue, but in song. So it's like, on another level. Do each of you have a favorite song or a moment or a song that you're really excited to get on its feet?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good question.
I can't get past the opening number. I mean, obviously I can because I have the rest of the show. But
just walk out after that.
Yeah, really. That's just, that's it. I left it all on the stage. I love the idea that the female character, well, any character, I'm trying not to genderize this, but I'm a girl, so it feels girly. It's like the moment you live for is the deep geschrei that usually happens 3/4 of the way through the show, deep into Act 2. And you finally get to have that emotional breakdown and start chewing scenery and you rending clothes and stuff. It happens right at the beginning. And how much fun is that? It's like having dessert before you have dinner. I just love it. And it drops us right into the show too. It's not like, and I'm this person and this is the, you know, the character song, and then we develop the plot. This is just like, boom. I just love that. And it's got beautiful music interweaving a popular wedding tune into it. So you've got that like subconscious nostalgia going on. I just love it.
That's true. As an actor, just getting on stage and starting from that emotional, and anyone who's ever experienced any kind of breakup is with you in a second, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment changes every time I listen to it or watch it. But it just depends on where I'm at emotionally, which is, I think, kind of the brilliance of it, because he's written all of these emotions that everyone experiences at some point. And so, yes, today I'm feeling very Jamie at this point, but yesterday I was very Kathy over here. So the whole show is my favorite.
That's fair.
I think Jim hit it. There's a little bit of Jamie and a little bit of Kathy, I think, in all of us. I've told this story before, but a number of years ago, I was going through a breakup, and I was directing a show at the time, and the venue was like 5 miles from my house, and I would normally bus down to it. And that particular day, it was just not a good day, and I walked from my apartment to the rehearsal site, just listening to If I Didn't Believe in You. And I literally put the one track on repeat and just like walked 5 miles while intermittently sobbing. And it was like, so like it has burned a certain personal sense into me.
I know I am like jonesing to be back in a theater. What does that mean to you or look like to you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, most importantly to say, it needs to be safe when we do it. But there's something about being in a room full of people you don't know, all listening to the same story being told in the same room as you. You know, movies, TV are great, but they're not this visceral, immediately happening thing. And you know, Zoom stuff is great. I mean, here we are, but again, it's not the same. And I don't know about you guys, but me personally, after a year of this, I miss other people. I miss experiencing the emotions of other people in the same room as me. And I cannot wait to be back to that.
Yeah, I was watching The Cradle Will Rock. Have you guys seen that?
I need to.
It's a great movie. And I hadn't seen it for a billion years, but I was watching it again this weekend. And at the end, when they give this performance in a theater that's very put together and last minute, but the audience is packed, and they keep panning to the audience because a lot of the cast is actually sitting in the audience. And every time the audience started like clapping or erupting, I started crying. It was the opposite. Usually you're so aligned with the professionals on the stage, but this time I just wanted to be in that audience.
So I'm very excited about this production. You guys have already sold me on it. How can other people find out more information about it, support the show, buy tickets, all of that good stuff?
It's very simple. You go to briefcameoproductions.com, and there you can purchase tickets, donate to the organization, and learn more about the incredibly talented people who are doing this show. Alan and Jill and Ryan and Lisa. They're two brilliant actors.
So Jim just froze on us, so I'll just insert while we're waiting for him to come back that we haven't talked at all about our two amazing cast members, Ryan and Lisa. Ryan Bloomquist is new to our group. Jim and Jill have worked with him before, but I have not. But I am so excited to. I think it's also worth mentioning that in addition to being a very, very talented actor, Ryan is also a writer and has a book published. And so it's really fun to be. I'm really excited to work with somebody playing Jamie who is also an author. I'm really excited to sort of get into his insights into the character because of that aspect as well. And Lisa Williamson, who is we worked with her on Ragtime. She played Sarah. I think it was day 1 or 2, and we're like, oh, let's just run Your Daddy's Son, and she launches into the song. Afterwards, we're just like, sing more. Like, I'm like, it's great. Show's done. We can all go home. I can't express how excited I am to have her back.
All right. Well, I feel like I'm ready to see the show, and I can't wait to. And I know a million other people watching are stoked to see it. So thank you for giving me the inside scoop. And you can always check out my podcast, Back in Town. It is on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. And go check out Brief Cameo Productions. Do it.